Welcome to the New Orleans Photo Alliance OddWorks exhibit. This is our neighborhood. We're going to do a little tour before we actually enter the gallery. We are in 1111 St. Mary between Jim Russell Records at one end of the block on Magazine Street, and here we're looking down St. Mary Street. Our nice new sign. At the other end of the block of St. Mary is the Half Moon Bar and Restaurant. This is on Sophie Wright Place. This is another institution here in New Orleans. So we're between these two great landmarks, Jim Russell Records and Half Moon Bar and Restaurant, on St. Mary Street, between Magazine Street and Sophie Wright Place. So we're going to do a little tour of the neighborhood before we enter into the gallery so you can see exactly what our show looks like. We're coming up here on the dark room. This is our full-service digital facility. Some views of our neighborhood buildings. We're going to be entering into Sophie Wright Park, dedicated to Sophie Wright, who was a famous educator in New Orleans. At the end of this little pocket park, you'll see a sculpture of Sophie Wright. Now we're back on St. Mary Street, about to enter into the gallery. So now we enter into the New Orleans Photo Alliance Gallery. A quick little pan of what it looks like. There in the background is Lee Henderson, one of our members, volunteering her time to help us out. That's a Miranda Lake on the right there. Here's our little sign-in table with juror's statement. And I'll be talking briefly about some of these pieces. This is just to give you more or less an idea about what our gallery looks like and how the show was installed. We had many different types of photographic images. This was one of our most ambitious shows in terms of the variety and the range of the types of objects that we had to hang on the wall. Right here in the center, what we're looking at is Miranda Lake. This is an encaustic, which involves a wax with images embedded in that. You can go to our website and see an online catalog, so you can see the images in a more studied manner. This is J.R. Robertson's work right here. This is a light box that he fabricated. I'm going to turn it on in a sec. There we go. Okay, now it's the light box is on. J.R. uses clear acrylic caulk as a transfer agent. He coats the back of the glass with the caulk, puts his photographic images on the caulk, and after a few minutes peels it away, and the image transfers from the paper onto the glass. Then he builds the light box around that. Quite nice, very different for J.R. He's moving into a new realm with this. This is one of a series. This image here was certainly one of the more beautiful objects. A photographic image printed on a leaf. I don't know how the artist managed to do this, but it was quite delicate and precious in a good sense. It was a beautiful object. This next piece here by Jan Gilbert, a local photographer and artist. At first I had difficulties understanding what this was about. As soon as we lit it, it became obvious that it was a nude torso. And I don't know what process Jan used to actually have the emulsion made in such a way as to be able to wrap it around this goblet, but it was quite durable. Very different approach. Just another one of Jan Gilbert's pieces there. She uses a lot of found objects in her artwork. This is a Christopher Porcher West piece. This is typical of a lot of Christopher's work in the sense of how he presents it. He has these very poetic black and white images, and then he constructs these elaborate installation pieces using salvaged and found architectural details and furniture pieces. Going to his studios, I go into a woodworking shop, and an incredible amount of effort, and as well as these things are very large and weighty. Here's some ambrotypes, images printed on glass. Our work desk. That's a Canadian piece there of Carmen Miranda. And there's Lee Henderson, our member, who's our volunteer, and just a great all-around person. And now's the view towards the front of the gallery. I'll be working my way back and explaining some of these other pieces in a moment. This was a very interesting little front-end loader. It almost looks like a kid's piece, but it was very precisely made, and photographic image laminated onto some kind of a foam core, and then the front-end loader precisely cut out. This was a bit of a Katrina-inspired presentation. This is a mobile using glass fragments onto which images have been printed. Excuse me. And it was a very nice mobile. I'm going to blow on it in a second to kind of show you how it moves around. This was one of our pieces from Poland. This is a small aspect of a much larger installation piece, and when you go on to the online catalog you can see what I'm talking about. This had a very holographic type quality about it. I'm going to come around to the side so you can actually see how it's been fabricated and put together. Seeing as that this was from Poland, we were quite happy that we were able to have an international component to this exhibit. Judy Cooper's freestanding portraits of members of the Vietnamese community. And once again, we're looking at Miranda Lake. This is, in the encaustic process is something that she uses quite a bit in her work. And she uses pigment and photographic images. Clearly this has been influenced by New Orleans and the architecture of the city, the river. Okay, we're going to go to the back now and catch a few of these pieces that I missed before. This photograph on the right here, very kind of traditional in most aspects. The subject matter was a little unusual. The juror, David Rubin, found this to be interesting enough to put into the show. Lightbox images. It was unusual to have three pieces by one artist. This is Michelle Varisco. She prints her images on glass using a photo emulsion, and then mounts them onto old pieces of furniture. Visitors to the gallery. Sorry for the quick pan there. There's a collage. Our Canadian piece there on to the left. And there's Lee again. Thank you for visiting the New Orleans Photo Alliance.